Friday update again. Thought I'd do something a little different. Just woke up, of course, but this is kind of an exposition I would do in the books, but it probably no place for it. I'll put some alternative type weapons in the book sometimes, but mostly everything's just regular type guns, gunpowder. Um, and number of reasons I did that. Partly it's because I wanted to have, if Hank is durable, if I have all these super duper space age weapons, he would have to be vastly more durable. And then you run into other problems. So you have this super high tech spaceships and everything and firearms, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But in regards to firearms, so I saw one of my writer friends was talking about future weapons, and we've so gunpowder and bullets are a mature technology, meaning you can go back 50 years and they haven't changed that much. My dad, who was a ballistics engineer, had said, we've gotten as much as we can possibly get out of bullets. So the kind of advances you see in them over half a century are very small. It's mostly kind of quality control and marketing. They're just not that different. Whereas if you look at 50 years at electronics, just vast increases in everything. So in terms of future weapons, at least in Earth, in this future Earth, it's tough to beat bullets. They just canceled the railgun project, and I had lived near where they were working on that naval weapon. And when talking to my dad and such, he had worked there. They're like, yeah, that's just, it's not going to happen. It's so difficult to replace traditional gunpowder. They have all the big bore cannons have pretty much vanished, meaning like battleship guns and cruiser guns. If you look at those types of ships now, they might have one or two, smaller cannons on them, but missiles, rockets have taken the place of them. And it was just because the battleships never really fought each other. They just weren't good at it. They were good at being big and scary looking, and onshore bombardment, but rockets and missiles do that much better. And you don't need this real complicated delivery mechanism. You can have just a rocket sitting on your roof, and it's can do a lot of damage. It's quite powerful. So anyway, and getting back to bullets, they've looked at trying to replace them, upgrade them for forever, and they just can't do it. So when you see stuff like phasers, lasers, it's got to be like a different universe. The amount of destructive power in those chemical bullets is really high, and the material cost is extraordinarily low. We have a lot of other mature technologies, like I was just thinking about air conditioners, like the window mounted air conditioners. Those things are about 100 years old. and they're just not getting all that much better because there's just not much you can do to make them better. They're just really good at what they do. Um, so for there to be a replacement of bullets and gunpowder and just that kind of thing, something fundamental has to change. And I was joking, thinking about this last night, like if the components of gunpowder were super scarce in some universe, and plutonium was a naturally occurring substance just everywhere, people were going, oh, I've got plutonium in my ears, I must have a cold. Then yeah, you can come up with different types of weapons, and you wouldn't be using gunpowder. But bullets are super stable. A bullet itself is not dangerous at all. It needs to be in a gun. You can smack a bullet with a hammer. You can take it into Arctic temperatures. You can take it into tropic temperatures. You can dip a gun in water and mud, and it does fine. So that's why there's no electronics on firearms, and it's so difficult to replace that. Another kind of mature technology is like automobiles. And you go, okay, well, they are trying to replace those with electric. So how is that different than bullets? Why don't you have like electric, guns, like little mini rail guns or coil guns or stuff like that? And the difference is gasoline is hugely difficult to process. If you ever look at an oil refinery, it's just a city of steel and pipes, just unbelievably complicated and difficult. And you got oil super tankers floating around, moving the product from here to there, and it's not remotely the same as gunpowder, which is just dirt cheap. It's everywhere. If you had the components of gunpowder in your backyard, you wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, I can make a gunpowder mine and be rich. You'd be like, no, it's just waste. Nothing can grow back here because it all is crap. So, when I see like in future Earth, science fiction, and they're using all these super amazing weapons, you're like, wow, you either explain how that happened, or you're just trying to be cool. But if you're being hard science fiction, to unseat gunpowder, and gunpowder can work in space. There is enough air gas in those cartridges that it could ignite in space in a vacuum, and it would produce enough gases to shoot that bullet. I'm not sure how it would how well it would work in space, but it would probably be vastly better because there's no atmosphere to disrupt the bullet. There's no wind. There's no huge gravity pulling that bullet down. So it'd be great in space. It'd keep accelerating, or it'd reach its max speed exiting the barrel and maintain that speed. Oh man, they'd be even better in space. So, to be using lasers and stuff. So like my point was, like, I was seeing, when you think of phasers, like in Star Trek or something, those things are doing a huge amount of damage. So they've got to have a tremendous energy source in that tiny little handheld component. The fact that they've got these gigantic spaceships, like why? If you can have that much power in your hand, a bicycle, size material would be enough to travel you around the solar system at breakneck speeds. So, it's just kind of weird when you have to change physics to not have gunpowder be that awesome and be the weapon of choice. It's just every time they've thought about it, tried it, attempted, it's just can you match the destructive power, safety, compactability, the thing is the cheapness of bullets, gunpowder, and nothing that we have ever seen comes close. Nothing comes close. So it's not tremendously far-fetched for everything in Hard Luck Hank to be guns. If it's even remotely that universe like our universe, it's just the weapon of choice. So anyway, it's 11 and a half minutes of blabbing. So happy Friday.